We are all educators here are familiar with this. Describing each, I would say functional competencies are job-specific competencies that drive proven high performance and quality results for a given position. They are often technical or operational in nature. Cognitive competencies refers to the brain works, as we all know, or processes that comprise creative thinking, which include various creative thinking styles such as uh, legislative, global, and local thinking styles, including critical thinking, which includes reasoning and making inferences, self-reflection, and coordination of multiple views. In the workplace, cognitive skills help one interpret data. In any professional field, we use cognitive skills to solve problems in the work and we improve the quality of our work. Emotional competence refers to the ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions. Then emotional intelligence can be learned and strengthened, while others claim it's an inborn characteristic. In my opinion, whether it is an inborn characteristics or something that can be taught or strengthened, I don't care. What is important is that a learned individual possesses emotional competence. According to Professor Dr. Mustaq Al-Atabi, the CEO and Provo Heriaswat University of Malaysia, emotional intelligence can be taught by doing some kind of brain rewiring, meaning we should change the way people think. He suggested to forget and never mention the word problem, but instead replace it with opportunity. And I believe in this sharing of Dr. Mustaq. Doing the same that way, you are better motivated to find solutions and will have no chance of worrying. Having all these competencies will make anyone holistically or uh, a complete individual. Among these types of competencies, I give extra premium to emotional intelligence or competence. Since the beginning of Industrial Revolution and until these modern days, functional or specific jobs normally done by human can now be assigned to modern inventions, specifically computers. Human tasks are more effectively done by machines. Under cognitive domain, oh, sorry, under cognitive domain, computers can very well perform analysis better than human. Say, for example, in the field of medicine, computer can better produce more accurate diagnosis and analysis compared to human. However, no machines or computer can be effectively used to perform tasks that involve emotional intelligence. How can computer exhibit empathy? How can computer perform social skills to improve relationships among people? How can we use computers to develop self-awareness to improve individuals' confidence and belief? There is no machine or computer that regulate or control individual emotions or promote personal or individual motivation to do things in accordance to her or his likings. Emotional competency or emotional competence is completely human, and therefore the academy is tasked to promote and develop these competencies. It is not enough for the academy to teach students on how to perform or do things necessary to successfully accomplish tasks required of them as professionals. both cognitive and functionally. We should also train them to become holistic human beings, someone who knows the meaning of integrity, empathy, or compassion. It's hard to imagine the world filled with workers with very low degree of emotional competence. Thus, it is hardly recommended that schools create or develop programs or course aimed to enhance emotional competencies uh, to train students, such that after uh, going through this whole dynamics of learning, graduates are expected to be ready to face any form of challenges in the world of work. When we finally send our students from campus to workplace, I think and I honestly believe that this question is something that must be categorically answered. Are you ready for change, or are you career ready, I should say? Employers today are looking for graduates to be career ready. Career readiness refers to knowing the skill set and how our graduates can apply their strengths, interests, and talents to various industries in the current job market. Hmm, Understanding how our graduates can demonstrate career competencies in their chosen career, profound manifestations uh, of these competencies is the key for employers to see the value they can add as a new professional. Our graduates must keep in mind and be confident that they already have this advantage as their liberal arts and sciences education have already provided them with these competencies. So, according to National Association of Colleges and Employers, they released a fact sheet defining 8 core competencies that form career readiness. Thus, career readiness is the attainment and demonstrations of required or requisite competencies that broadly prepare college graduates for successful transition into the workplace. We have the critical thinking, leadership, oral and written communication, team collaboration, work ethics, professionalism, digital technology, career management, and global and intercultural fluency. Let me take this one by one. So the critical thinking and problem solving, it helps one in his quest for higher academic achievement. One must be critical in assessing problem. These are skills that we need in order to be able to think, uh, which are normally varied. This includes processes like observation, analysis, interpretation, reflection, evaluation, and decision making. And one may ask, what's happening? Why is it important? What don't I see? How do I know? Who is saying this? What else? What if? So these are some questions that may be asked and uh, may become a manifestation of a critical thinker. Another is our graduate must be proficient or must have this competence in oral and written communication. Good verbal and written communication skills are essential in order to deliver and understand information quickly and accurately. Being able to communicate effectively is a vital life skill and should not be overlooked. The next is teamwork and collaboration. In today's workplace, professionals don't work alone and rarely work with just one other person. More often, we are required to work in groups to strategize, design solutions, and ideate, motivate, manage, and execute. Then the next is digital technology. According to NACE, or the National Association of Colleges and Employers, digital technology is the ability to leverage existing digital technologies ethically and efficiently to solve problems, complete tasks, and accomplish goals. So career readiness requires individuals to demonstrate effective adaptability to new and emerging technologies. So all employers expect their employees to be digitally literate. Leaders develop and begin strategies that build and sustain competitive advantage. So employers, we need to provide this competency to our graduates to make them ready for career ready. Any organization requires robust leadership and robust management for optimal organization efficiency. Today, the job market is incredibly competitive. This is especially so for new college graduates who are expected to not only have the basic people skills such as leadership needed in the professional environment. The work ethics and professionalism. The concept of professionalism is a competency required to consider a student career ready. Professionalism is the conduct, behavior, and attitude of someone in a work or business environment. Professionalism leads to workplace success and a strong professional reputation and a high level of work ethic and excellence. And so professionals who exhibit a strong work ethics are valuable employees who might be rewarded with promotions, new work opportunities, and probably salary increase. And so in most of our courses, we include this subject, ethics, and especially in IT. A career ready must have this competency, the career management. To demonstrate this competency, one needs to identify and articulate one's skill, his strength, his knowledge and experiences relevant to the position desired and career goals, and need to identify areas necessary for professional growth. One needs to establish goals. The real nitty-gritty of career management is in understanding what you're trying to achieve. Global and intercultural fluency. To develop fully your competency as a worker, a career-ready graduate must possess these characteristics. And so an individual who demonstrates global and intercultural fluency is someone who shows openness, inclusiveness, sensitivity, and the ability to interact with all people and understand cultural differences. You should be able to value, respect, and learn from diverse cultural beliefs, races, ages, genders, sexual orientations, and religions. He should demonstrate openness, inclusiveness, sensitivity, and the ability to interact respectfully with all people. Thus, the foregoing enumerates the competencies required to make our graduates career ready. But there are some competencies, and this we need to understand. the employers want. And this is our goal. If we want our graduates to become successful in their chosen career, then we should train and equip them with these competencies that employers want them to have. They must be, or we should train them to act as a team player, which means not only being cooperative, but also displaying strong leadership skills when necessary. Our graduates must be flexible. He should exhibit his value, his asset as an employee. He or she who can adapt to any situation are dependable no matter what thrown at them. In any situation, they must be able to exhibit or demonstrate flexibility. Effective communication is paramount and includes articulating oneself, being a good listener, and using appropriate body language. One may be a good speaker or writer because he or she has the facility of language, but it does not necessarily mean that he or she is a good communicator. Choice of words and manner of speaking is paramount in this aspect. Another is problem-solving skills. Employers expect our graduates to possess this very essential competence, the problem-solving skills. And these are critical when unexpected issues inevitably arise. So, effective problem-solving skills enables employees to analyze problems, identify problems, its severity, and assess the impacts of alternate solutions. One should be creative in developing solutions to challenges or to challenges, I should say. He must be fair or should not stray from justice. It's good to identify the problem, but as good problem solver, he should also be able to see hidden problem surrounding the occurrence of the same. Honesty, ethics, and integrity. Most employers will place these three words at the top of the list for employees to have. Honest people are trusted people. If an employer trusts you, they will value you, and that equates to raises and promotions. These three words, honesty, ethics, and integrity, also apply to our dealings with our coworkers and customers. If we have been dishonest with them, if you spend time or non-work related in non-work related websites, you'll see it is one of the top reasons why employers fire employees, the dishonesty. Remember, many employers monitor what goes on in their computer systems. That includes your private emails. In one of the workplace I visited, I happened to see this poster saying something like this. If after each workday, you can say before God and man that the salary you receive is worth the work you did, then you are an honest worker. Another is confidence. Confidence is key, but it's important to always have the knowledge and skills to support self-assurance. A major component of confidence is that you value and place on the value you place on yourself. Confidence is about the faith you have in your ability and the person and what person you are. Confidence is your belief or trust in something in the workplace. It can refer to the belief you have in yourself to carry out your job and the belief you have in your own abilities. Having this state of mind means you know your own skills and expertise and what you're ultimate capable of doing. Creative thinking is invaluable and it drives innovation and increased efficiency. So all employers expect or would want their employees to be creative thinker. Creative thinking occurs when an employee rather, attempts to think of a different way to solve a problem. When you use creative thinking, your business is more likely to be original since it will use the creative ideas of the multifaceted employees. So that's why employers always expect this or would want their employees to have this competency. So what is the role of information technology in today's era? It is our goal. All institutions now is our goal, it has this goal to develop IT competent graduates, no matter what course they choose. Information communication technologies play a significant role in all aspects of modern society. ICT have changed the way in which we communicate with each other. And with the introduction of computers, the business world was changed. And by using computers and software, businesses use information or IT to ensure that all their departments run smoothly. So what is the main role of technology? Technology has infiltrated, undeniably infiltrated every aspect of our lives, changing how we work, how we learn, and how we shop. It's inevitably that our devices begin to reflect our civic aspirations, our desires to connect with others, and to contribute to the world around us. So the impact of information technology in education. Information technology has made the education process and processes more effective and productive. It has increased the well-being of the students. Developed methods of education have made this processes easier, such as the replacement of books with tablets and laptops. So we include IT in education. Technology has the ability to enhance relationships between teachers and students. When teachers effectively integrate technology into subject areas, teachers grow into roles of advisors, content experts, and coach. Technology helps make teachers and learners more meaningful and fun. So these are the impacts of technology in business. With the introduction of computers, the business world was changed and the businesses use information technology to ensure that their departments run smoothly. So what is the role of information technology in businesses during pandemic? And this is known to everybody. One of the biggest challenges is the mandatory work from home, which is a measure that companies introduced. All these measures taken by business leaders to arrest problems brought about by this pandemic were made possible through the use of information and communication technology platforms. So, reasons why we should teach or study information technology. As teachers of IT, it is our duty to inspire and guide students in their chosen career. I surmise that students taking up general education are still looking for study options. Choosing a career must or can be stressful for them to, and it could be overwhelming. To find what the perfect career choice would be, they should evaluate themselves and determine what they will truly enjoy doing. They are still in need of career guidance. We are in the 21st century, and everything today is about technology. It's seen in almost every aspect of modern life. If students enjoy technology and specifically keeping up with the latest advances in the field of information technology, perhaps they might want to turn their hobbies or this hobby into a career. As an IT professional, they would be supporting an organization in reaching their goals and nurturing their corporate culture. Businesses rely on information technology to help them to be more productive. This is a career that benefits any business by allowing companies to work more efficiently and to maximize productivity. So there are 5 practical reasons to push an information technology course to our students. One is variety of career choices. Information technology is incredibly diverse, and it's not just about fixing computers or laptops. This course will allow students to make their career in a number of different directions. Career vary from a technical writer or web developer or information technology director or chief technology officer, and so much more. Information technology graduates will also be prepared to specialize in far wider areas of interest. So students can see what they're studying. It's fun to study IT. The biggest part of studying information technology is practical. They won't just learn the theoretical part, but also get the opportunity to make things with that. And then students can change or adjust things and implement what they've learned. Taking up information technology, one can be involved in a flexible work style. Having this flexible work style, you'll be able to work according to your own schedules. Being flexible will also lead to better teamwork, and you'll also be a happier and satisfied employee, as you'll feel empowered through being able to structure your own work and personal life according to your needs. You'll earn good money. So your choice to pursue a career in IT is influenced by a number of factors. Be without a doubt one of the most positive factors is the amount of money you'll make. This may not be enough to inspire, but somehow making good money will make you will inspire you to strive for to be more successful in your chosen career. It's always in demand. As mentioned earlier, there are many careers to be followed or many careers to follow when specializing in information technology. And the better your skill set, the more in demand your expertise will be. Studying something you love will give you a sense of achievement. And, and your future starts now, as we can say to our students. Throughout my discussion, we should have realized that competencies for life is heavily anchored in information and communication technology, and that the world needs IT professionals. Lastly, having discussed the competencies for life, the role of educators, the students' responsibilities, their required competencies, students' responsibilities as advocates of change is in relation to IT is that I am now better comfortable to state this appeal for action. For the primer and curriculum developers of general education, having realized the importance of IT in the lives of workers and in all walks of life, I am proposing to include information technology as a required subject in the general education curriculum. Under the present setup, school administration should seriously offer with conviction for students to take up information technology, which is included in the list of elective subjects, specifically living in the IT era. Thank you so much and good afternoon, or good morning, I should say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalunga, sir, for a comprehensive talk. I know our participants learned a lot and they're excited also to post questions about IT competencies for life. And I think this is both essential for learners and educators. So to our attendees, you can type your questions in our chat box if there are questions. Doc Kaluma,
Yes.
is it okay to ask something?
I'll just
Sige.
fix my...
Ako na po ang magsisimula.
Okay.
You've mentioned earlier about emotional competencies, right, sir? And I love it, sir. My question is that
I'm sorry, please.
what advice can you
Okay po. Go ahead.
What advice can you give, Doc, to educators who can't perform well because of the pandemic? At some point in the new normal education, we feel depressed, frustrated, we can't function very well. So as an educator, how can we pull our emotional competence to stay in the field?
All right.
A sort of advice.
Yeah. I know where you're coming, where you are coming from. These apprehensions are brought about by taking problems. You see, all these things are problem. But as I've said earlier, if we will only change our mindset, but instead of looking at it or looking at those things as problem, let us look at them as opportunities. In most of the time, I don't call these problems. I call these challenges. And if these are challenges, then these are opportunities. Opportunities to make changes. Opportunities to to institute improvements to the current state. If we only pursue changes, then this will not be a problem. If we look at it as opportunities, then we take these opportunities to change things. So earlier in my talk, I urge everybody to prepare our students for changes. And pandemic is a kind of change, and we should be creative and critical in informing or in developing strategies to improve ourselves, to improve this situation, to make it better for us. So the simply put, I would say that do not look at these things as problem. Forget about problem, but replace it with opportunity. And things, I am sure, things will be better, and you will be able to creatively find solutions.
Wow.
Thank you.
Kudos to that, sir. I like your answer. Take it as a challenge, as an opportunity to improve, improve ourselves, especially in this time, uncertain times, um, because our goal is to improve our work. Sir,
Yeah, that's right.
somebody
Thank you.
is, yes, sir. Somebody is asking, what would be the alternative solution can you give or advise for those educators that find it hard to teach information technology in terms of technical discussion? From Carlo Malabanan.
The present state we are in is uh, facing our students in using the online method or online classes. And if the question is about how can we manage this kind of method with with us lacking these technologies like internet, okay, I am not very sure if modules can really replace these online classes. Definitely, face to face is not yet a solution. So we can only provide them. We can only uh, develop modules to reach them in to replace the online classes. I guess the question is coming from what if there is no connection? Am I right?
Possible, sir.
Okay, so yeah, the solution I can offer is developing modules, and that is in our company, the Tech Factors. We are actually developing modules to reach our students with these difficulties of in technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. We have another question from Villa Flores Peter John. Doc, I have a question with regards to cultural differences that has been mentioned earlier. How can we possibly manage a class with different cultural backgrounds and learning styles with no knowledge or skills in using computer at all?
Oh,
Cultural
I don't know how
differences.
to respond. I am not familiar with the context, but as a trained educator, we should be able to must be familiar with the different educational theories. Read educational theories, and we can find solutions to that.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, sir. Another question is coming from Jason Casas. What is the best way, Doc, to update teachers in the field of information technology?
Well, I am sure the only solution for that is to make self-improvement, to retool. That's what I did. You know, in my age, I am not a digital native. I came to this era as a zero knowledge in technology, but I tried my best to retool myself, reading, attending trainings, and persevere, making this difficulty as a challenge, and taking that as a challenge, it gave me opportunity to enroll. In my bio notes, you will notice that I am not a digital native. I am not trained to become a digital expert, but I tried my best to work for it. And I guess in my own standard, I was able to retool myself and be educated at par with other digital natives of this era, insofar as education is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaluma. Sir, with hard work and determination, nothing is really impossible, right, sir?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much for that. I like that comment.
Yes, sir. I know that there are still questions in our Q&A box. Don't you worry, Dr. Kaluma will still be with us throughout the session. So I think Dr. Kaluma can directly answer your questions. Okay lang ba? Okay. Sir?
Yeah, I'll try to
Yes, sir. Yes.
scan the chat
Yes, sir.
box and answer them via chat box.
Thank you so much, sir, because our next, we will move on to our lecture number 2. But
Thank
before
you.
anything, yes,
Thank you.
sir, thank you so much. But before anything else, sir, Dr. Kaluma, we would like to give our certificate of appreciation. Allow me to read the citation. Eastside Sub-Surgeon Region Certificate of Appreciation to is awarded to Dr. Roberto Kaluma. Okay. Sir, may we request you to stop the screen share?
Oh, sorry.
Will
I'm
that be
sorry.
okay with you, sir?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yan.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, sir. The Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Dr. Roberto Kaluma. Sir, thank you for sharing his thoughts, ideas, and experiences to the participants of the webinar on Living in the IT Era Light, teaching a college general education course on information technology, IT competences for life topic. Given this 8th day of April 2021 via Zoom and signed by Donald B. Salminao, the president of Eastside Region 12. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Roberto Kaluma.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you to all the management of the site.
Thank you, sir. And now we will move on to our talk number 2, light syllabus content. And before that, allow me to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science in UP Diliman. She teaches algorithms and data structures, basic programming, and discrete mathematics for computer science. She is also a member of the Service Science and Software Engineering Laboratory, where she co-advises together with Dr. Jimmy Caro, undergraduate students doing their thesis in their laboratory. Our speaker finished her PhD, MS, and BS degree in computer science at UP Diliman. Her specialization includes membrane computing, a non-conventional computing model. She has also done research works on information visualization, genome analysis, GPU computing, and study of workflow nets. Our next speaker, help me welcome Dr. Rochelle Ann B. Wyong.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me po?
Yes, hello.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And do you see my slides po?
Yes, bro.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A pleasant morning to everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name again is Rochelle Ann Huayong, and I am an assistant professor in UP Diliman in the Department of Computer Science. Today, I'll be speaking in behalf of Tech Factors as one of the authors in their book entitled Living in the IT Era. And also, my role for today is to talk about some ideas, some key ideas, strategies, and content of for teaching this subject on a general subject on ICT. So this is the front page of the book. We actually have a lot of authors. We are 8 authors here. All of us pursued or are pursuing graduate studies. So 5 are already doctors. And all of us, except for one, pursued graduate studies in computer science. So the other author, Ma'am Cyril Salang, is from physics and is also a faculty in UP Diliman. And our editors are Ma'am Annette and Sir Jean. Okay, so again, my role is to talk about key ideas, right, and content. And the way I'd like to do that is to relay the thought processes in the making of this book. Let me start first by the slide. A large portion of our everyday life is dependent on ICT. Doc Kaluma earlier talked about why it is important to teach ICT for the careers of the student, right? And I also want to emphasize that it is important for us to talk about ICT because we are highly dependent on ICT in our everyday lives. Especially with this pandemic, we are not really that free to go outside. And so we rely on a lot of things online. So we communicate, we do our studies, our work online. And so ICT is made to ease our lives in order for us to take advantage of it and also to realize its limitation and also its danger. We need a subject that can talk about that. So CHED actually acknowledges this importance of ICT even prior to the pandemic. Here we have a part of a revised GE program authored by the CHED Technical Panel on General Education, dated August 2012, which proposes a subject under math, science, and technology entitled Living in the IT Era. And its course description is Science, Culture, and Ethics of Information Technology, its influence on modern living and human relationships, and uses for personal, professional, and social advancement. So this is the reason why the book is created in the first place. We want to contribute to this shared effort. And we are thinking that we can use the book as a reference for teachers that will teach living in the IT era. And it's also the inspiration for the title of the book. So what does that mean? That means the learners are millennials, right? These are students that are pursuing a degree, but not necessarily a degree in computer science or in IT related courses. But it doesn't mean that the book is just for millennials. Anyone that wants a comprehensive introduction to ICT can benefit from the book. So during the planning stage, there are two main questions for us. First is how to teach. So what key ideas and strategies can we use in teaching? And of course, what to teach? What will be the content of the book? So we should come first. Well, we first focused on how to teach. That is, we want to first profile the learners. So what do we know about the learners? We know that the learners are millennials and they are Filipinos. Here I put the term digital native to emphasize that the learners were born and they grew up in the era of computers, the internet, and ubiquitous technology. So they are familiar with these technologies. They grew up in these times. As compared to us, we are probably like people like me that were born in the 1980s and earlier. We are said to be digital immigrants because we were there in the time of the not so modern technology, probably the time of typewriters and cassette tapes, etc. And we were there in the transition. So what do we have to know about the learner characteristics of these digital natives? So in the quest to answering that, we found an article entitled Bridging the Generation Gap in ICT Education. So here there are 20 learner characteristics that are said to be typical for most millennials. So we have tech savvy, that they rely on search engines for information. They operate at Twitch speed, so there's a lot of characteristics here. But I think what is important is we summarize it into these, that the digital natives, the millennials, are tech savvy, they are fast, they are explorers, and they are collaborative. So how can we use that to define what should be our approach? So the fact that they're tech savvy, that means we don't really need to teach them ICT from scratch. So what does that mean? We don't need to allot many pages just to talk to them about how-tos, a lot of how-tos, like how to open a computer or how to send a text message or how to enable mobile data. So the fact that they're tech savvy, that they can search for these things via some search engine, means that we can prioritize breadth over depth. So with that, we can allot just a short number of pages for the topic. So this is also to address the fact that the learners easily get bored. So they're fast, but they easily get bored. So when deciding the topics, we assessed which should be prioritized and which are not. So what is one example of that? One example is the topic of history of computers. We think that we no longer need to devote a large chunk of discussion for history of computers. Instead, we can let the learners explore it on their own. What else? Visual learning. So they learn visually, and so we tried to incorporate infographics in the book. And also, this we need the help of good graphic artists from Tech Factors. Later, there will be another talk on the courseware for living in the IT era. So we will know more about this. So another key idea is to promote activities for discovery, creativity, collaboration, and feedback. So that is to acknowledge that the learners are explorers. They like to explore and do things on their own, but they're also collaborative. They want to be a part of a group and do collaborative work. So we translated this to different activities in the book, aside from the usual assessment at the end of the chapters. So we call them discover and learn, share, investigate and create, engage and collaborate, and share and participate. So what's this discover and learn? So these are devoted to sharing some interesting trivia, and will also be devoted for activities that require the students to do their own research. So investigate and create, this is for activities where the individuals or the learners will be involved in individual projects, and they may also explore a third-party application for this. So engage and collaborate. So this one is for group works that may also allow the learners to work with people outside the class. And finally, we have activities for share and participate, so that we can talk about social issues where the learners can present their opinions in class and also get class feedback. So these activities in the book, they are presented in the sides of the pages. So for example, this is for discover and learn. So that's for the fact that the learners are digital natives. So what else do we know about the learners? We know that they are Filipinos. So the fact that they are Filipinos means that we should develop a book that highlights ICT in the Philippine context. So this one, this is not something that is novel in the book. Tech Factors are always producing this kind of books. We have, for example, ICT and Society, and ICT and Society 2, focusing on social networking. So these previous books are also used as references for living in the IT era. So that is for the how to teach part. And now the next goal is determine what will be the content of the book. So for this one, we identified 3 main goals. Talk to the learners about basics of ICT, and then talk to the learners about the impact and the role of ICT in our society. And finally, talk about key technologies leading to the advancement of ICT. And so we divided the book into 3 parts based from these 3 main goals. So we have the first part, which is fundamentals of ICT. The second part, which is ICT and society. and the third part, which is future of ICT. And what I'm going to do is to go over the topics in each part. So let's start with ICT, fundamentals of ICT. So what's the scope? These are topics that are commonly found in ICT books. So as can be seen, we will be starting with the classics, computer hardware and computer software. Okay, so what is the goal for computer hardware and computer software? So the goal is just for them to have a simple understanding of how a computer works. And what should be the main takeaway of the students in these chapters? Well, first, we want them to appreciate that computers are everywhere. And also, we want them to know that computers are not just personal computers, the desktops and the laptops. Our smartphones, wearables, smart devices, embedded systems. So these are essentially computers. As a skill, we also want them to understand computer trends and use this for decision making. For example, when buying computer hardware, like buying a laptop, a computer, tablet, smartphone. And for computer software, we want to take this opportunity to introduce different applications for different user needs. So in these times, there are actually a lot of applications, right? And there are actually different types of application. There's commercial, there's free software, there's open source. So that's one categorization. And then you have another, you have desktop applications, you have web applications. So with these many types of software, the question will be, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of using such types of software? So that is also one main takeaway that we want the learners to learn in this chapter. So under fundamentals of ICT, we also want to talk about algorithms. What are algorithms? So these are step-by-step procedure to accomplish a task. I have a very large appreciation of algorithms because I think that the definition is very simple, step-by-step procedure, but they are I call them the secret behind the ICT magic. So what I want to show is in this figure, I am searching for the definition of algorithm in a search engine, right, in Google. And I want to put emphasis on this part. So Google returned 317 million results in less than a second. So I think that is one evidence of ICT magic. Millions in less than a second. And there are a lot of these ICT magic in these times. There are, for example, YouTube, companies like YouTube that can accommodate and store millions of large-sized videos, right? Uploaded by different users from all over the world. So how were they able to manage that? I think that is also ICT magic. And the main enablers of these are simply algorithms, well-defined instructions. So we want the learners to appreciate this simple concept. And that is why we want to include this in under fundamentals of ICT. So how can they appreciate this? So one main takeaway we want the learners to know is that the idea of problem solving by listing steps is not just for programmers and software developers. It can be learned, and it is a skill that is for everyone. So here I have a flow chart from the sitcom entitled The Big Bang Theory. This is the friendship algorithm the by Dr. Sheldon Cooper. So this is Sheldon Cooper is a lead character, and the context here is that Dr. Cooper is trying to win a friend, and what he did is to create this flowchart that he can follow in order to win that friend. So at least it shows that algorithms can be applied to friendship, right? So this is computational thinking that can be learned not just by programmers and developers, but by everyone. The concept of sequence, the concept of this repeats, and the concept of this decision points. These are something that we can learn and can be applied even outside the context of programming. So next is computer networks. Here, we want to answer, or we want the learners to know what happens when a computing device connects to the internet. So the previous chapters are talking about computers, and here we start with talking about how the computers communicate with one another. So here, we will be discussing the main components of a computer network, the main devices and device types for accessing computer networks. And we will be talking about technologies like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 3G, 4G. And the main takeaway is for them to answer this. So the last chapter under fundamentals of ICT is internet application. So for internet applications, we want to talk about applications that are built on top of the internet. There are already a lot of applications that need the internet in order to function. But I think one of the most important application is the World Wide Web. So what's the main takeaway for this chapter? One is a clarification about the distinction between what is the World Wide Web and what is the internet. There are some misconceptions that they are the same. So first, we want to distinguish one from the other. The main takeaway also in this chapter is to talk about the main processes and concepts involved when one opens a web browser and types in a URL. So here in this figure, it's very detailed, right? In the book, we have a simplified version of this one. We did not detail the backend processes happening in the web browser and just focus on this part. So what else should be learned in this chapter? We can talk about the difference between HTTP and HTTPS for security reason. Talk about suffixes in the web addresses like .com, .org, .ph. Should they have an understanding of what these suffixes mean? So these are the chapters under fundamentals of ICT. These are common chapters. And now we go to the next part, which is ICT and society. This part is the one with a lot of chapters. It has the most chapters because we think that this is the part that is most relevant to the learners. So society, we are going to start with an individual. That is, we want to talk about the impact of ICT in expressing one's individuality. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about selfie. So I think this one is something that the learners will appreciate because these days TikTok is a trend because people are bored. And so ICT has already been used as a tool for self-expression. Um, because ICT has already been used as a tool for self-expression, we want them to understand basic concepts about image, audio, and video so that they can better create and enhance digital content. Um, Next, we will talk about human-computer interaction. So in the previous chapter, we talked about the impact of ICT in expressing one's individuality. So for this chapter, we turn the other way around and talk about the influence of individuals or users in technology. So specifically, these are technologies that interface human and computers. That's why the title of the chapter is Human-Computer Interaction. And at the forefront of that is VR, virtual reality, AR, augmented reality, and wearable technologies. So why do we want to include VR and AR and these technologies? Not just because we think they are cool technologies and they are key technologies, but also because we think that they are relatable to learners. How? The simple virtual elements that we use for our selfies are already simple examples of augmented reality. So we can also say that they may be experiencing these technologies in their daily lives. What is more important to emphasize for this chapter is the concept of user experience. Whenever there is a new technology or a new application, the users have a say on how good or bad the application is based on their user experience, and this influences the trend of technology. The first two chapters of ICT and society talked about digital content and digital enhancement. So I think it is important that the next chapter will talk about IPR, intellectual property rights, and specifically rules of sharing content. So more than protecting created content, we want to talk to them about when is it okay to use files downloaded from the internet, and when is it not okay to use it or modify it for your own content. So here we will talk about some terms like copyright, uh, Creative Commons, public domain, fair use, and proper attribution. So the next four chapters, I simply compressed them in one slide. We'll be talking about the impact and role of society in different important areas of our society. So that's education, governance, e-commerce, and social networks. So what can we talk about, for example, in the case of ICT in education? So it was already mentioned earlier that one of the main characteristics of learners is that they heavily rely on search engines. So I think it is important for them to understand how these search engines work. How do these search engines rank the relevance or the significance of pages, and why there are top ranked uh, websites like Wikipedia that is a good source of initial information but may not be used as a reference in an academic setting. We also want to talk to them about online learning, that there are platforms like this one for so-called massive online open courses where popular universities like MIT, Harvard, Stanford can provide accessible learning. So for ICT and governance, we will talk about um, e-government in Philippines and in other countries. And here we want to highlight some successful e-government efforts in the Philippines. So what's an example? We have the e-voting, we have electronic filing of taxes and payment systems for taxes, and these mobile-based warning alerts for events like calamities. E-commerce, so this one, I think this is very relatable nowadays because we mostly do online shopping through Lazada and Shopee. And also here we will be talking about cashless transactions. So cashless transactions through GCash or PayMaya, which are things that are relatable, especially with the pandemic. We will also be devoting a chapter on social networks. We are going to discuss in here different presentations of virtual social networks. So, of course, we will be talking about the social network giants like Facebook, we have Twitter, we have YouTube, but we will also talk about social networks for career and academic purposes. And one example of that is LinkedIn. So in this chapter, another thing that we want to emphasize is the impact of social networking sites. One impact is that these social networks make people instantly famous, right? We have YouTubers, YouTube sensations. But I think what is more important that the learners take away from this chapter is that social networks provide an extension of ourselves online. So what does that mean? If, for example, a person wants to pursue another person, or if in the context of career, if you have a potential employer that wants to know about you, your personality, your interests, your likes and dislikes, one way they will do that, they will learn about you is by looking at whether your account, social network account is available, and look at your social network profile for these things. So that is something that the learners should think about. So after social networks, it is important that the next topic will be talking about the roles and responsibilities of a digital citizen. Our reference here is this 9 elements of digital citizenship proposed by a US educator and author named Dr. Mike Ribble. And what we did here is to separate the elements involving cybersecurity and the other elements. So in this chapter, we talked about most of these elements, specifically digital health and wellness and digital etiquette. So digital health, we want the learners to um, be mindful of spending too much time on the internet, that this may cause one to develop injuries like repetitive strain injury, eye strain, and for the gamers, you can have carpal tunnel syndrome. It is also important to highlight digital etiquette or the standard of conduct online. How should one behave online? There is really no clear boundary on what should be on how one should behave in an online community. but the idea is that what we do, just like in real communities, what we do online has an impact not just on ourselves, our image, but also affects other people. And so here we will be expounding more on the famous saying, think before you click. So in the next chapter, we talk about cybersecurity. So here we talk about cybercrimes like phishing, hacking, uh, internet piracy, cyberbullying, and talk about existing laws in the Philippines that can protect us against cybercrimes. So this chapter is also devoted to talking about how one can protect himself or herself against cyber criminals. And here we already have some tips. Like for example, do not click on links from websites that you do not trust. Always look for whether a website uh, is HTTP or HTTPS, because you do not want to put essential information on websites without security feature. And also another is to create strong passwords, right? The last chapter under ICT and society is titled ICT in other disciplines. This is an extra chapter that talks about the ubiquity and development of ICT in other aspects of society, specifically transportation, health, science and research, and in entertainment. So what we want to talk about here is the impact of ICT in these fields. So for example, ICT in transportation, we will be talking about, for example, this TNVS, Transport Network Vehicle Services like Grab, Hirna, and these other services. We will also be talking about carpooling and its impact that it reduces the problem of traffic congestion and air pollution, because several commuters can share the same ride going to their offices. ICT in health. So how does ICT impact health? Here we go. We can talk about e-health, the use of ICT for health and health-related fields. So one impact of ICT in the context of health is that these times, medical procedures can be carried out even when a patient is in a remote area. ICT in science and research. So we can talk about, here we talked about the impact of ICT in space exploration and also in biology. So for example, before in space exploration, the rovers have to communicate to a command and control center on Earth for every decision making. But with the advances in pathfinding technologies and image processing and machine learning, rovers can now perform decision making even without contacting a command and control center on Earth. So that's one impact of ICT in space exploration. So another impact of ICT is in terms of research in biology. So there is a field called bioinformatics that uses ICT for biological research. And the impact is that because biological problems are formulated as computational problems, a significant amount of effort devoted to wet lab works is reduced and is converted to dry lab, which is computer work. So that's a good impact of ICT in science and research. We also talked about impact of ICT in entertainment. So one good impact is that there is this concept called cloud gaming, where massive amounts of memory accessible in the cloud is used to support gameplay. And with that, there is this concept of open world gaming design, where instead of a game being a linear presentation of skills and levels ending up with a big boss battle, nowadays there are already games that the main goal is to continue exploring new worlds. So there is seemingly no end in the game, and the goal is just for exploration. So that's the last chapter under ICT and society, and the last part will be future of ICT, which involves 5 chapters. The last part talks about some key technologies. So you may observe that we have the basics, and then we have here the impact of ICT. And so here we will be digging deep on the key technologies that is experienced in current times and will influence the future of ICT. So we start here with problem solving in ICT instead of directly going over the key technologies. We want first to provide the learners an overview of how problem solving is done in ICT. And there are 3 important steps in problem solving. So there's simplify the problem, find patterns, and find a similar problem. So simplifying the problem, the idea is a lot of problems in ICT are complex, right? So what you do is to first identify what parts of the problem are important and what parts are not so important, so that you can mask them. And this is also called problem representation. So that's simplifying the problem. And once you are able to provide a good representation of the problem and simplify it, you want to find patterns and important properties that can help you solve the problem. Next is find a similar problem. In computer science, we also call this problem reduction. And what is important here is to note that most of ICT solutions are not really novel solutions or solutions from scratch. Mostly, these are just old solutions or modified solutions. They are probably solutions to a different problem that were tweaked or modified or repurposed to fit a new problem. And so that is what we want to talk about in this chapter. And these steps are carried out as we examine a classic problem in computer science, which is called the 7 bridges of Königsberg problem. Königsberg is a beautiful place in Russia, and because it is a beautiful place, tourists want to make a tour of this area. But the goal is, in order to save time, you want to pass through the bridges exactly once. So this problem is actually what paved the way for the so-called graph theory in computer science. The reason why we wanted to include this is because we want to introduce the learners to a simple model that can be used for modeling problems related to the internet. So the model is simply composed of dots and lines connecting the dots. And there are a lot of problems that can already be modeled by this simple structure. So for example, sending messages through the internet. You can think of the individual computers as the dots, and uh, the lines as a connection between the computers. Another application of graph, this structure, is Facebook, modeling the idea of friends and friend of friends, which enables Facebook to identify, for example, which are so-called social influencers. And I think another important application of graph in these times is contact tracing. So identifying which are the contacts of a certain person which became positive with COVID-19. So that can also be modeled through graphs. So there's a lot of applications about graphs, and so we want the learners to know about this. So in the next chapter, we will be talking of one key technology, which is called big data analytics. So this is to acknowledge that in these times, we are said to be living in an information age. And so we have a lot of information sources just sitting in different places. So as can be illustrated in this figure. So what we can appreciate about data analysis, that is analyzing this large amounts of data, is the discoveries. Sometimes there are information that about a certain context, or information about us, for example, that are not really well known or obvious to us, but can be revealed by our tendencies. And these tendencies, they can become patterns in our data. And these patterns can be recognized by pattern learning technologies. And these patterns, they are used by governments and companies to improve their products and services. And that is the idea behind big data analytics. But in order to mine useful information with large amounts of data, there are a lot of processes that are involved. For example, in representing the data for storage and for processing, and also how you can provide a good visualization of data for information to be of use visually. So these are things that will be talked about in this chapter. So the next key technology is one that is involved in processing big data, which is machine learning. And here we talk about this bigger collection of tools used for machines to essentially mimic human behavior. And that is called artificial intelligence. So here we want to give an overview of how some machine learning techniques work, and also provide the learners well-known applications of machine learning today. In the next chapter, we continue our discussion of key technologies in this chapter entitled Recent and Emerging Technologies. So here we want to talk about some popular ICT terms or buzzwords like Internet of Things, quantum computing, deep learning, essentially talk more about AI because it seems to be the trend, right? What will influence key technologies in the future. Here we are going to talk about the impact of AI on human lives in the next few decades. And since this chapter is futuristic, we will be talking about the discussion can go from fact to fiction. And we will also be mentioning more excitingly those fictions from before that became facts. So the last chapter is entitled Some Grand Challenges in ICT. So the previous chapters have already shown how ICT has been instrumental in improving our lives. And we want to end the book by talking about what else are we pursuing to understand and accomplish, and how far are we at getting there. So that's for the last chapter. And that's all the chapters in the book. We organized them in this flow, illustrating chapter dependencies. So what chapters are required in order to understand the next chapters. So as can be seen here, everything starts with the basics. So there are also paths here emphasizing, for example, content, or the impact of ICT in society, and paths that focus on knowing about key technologies. So we think that this will be helpful for those teachers that want to organize their syllabus for teaching ICT as a general subject. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for the opportunity for me to introduce the book. And I think the book accomplishes its goals, so I hope people will be interested in using the book. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rachel Ann P. Wayong. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us a glimpse of what is inside the book. And I think somebody is also asking how can they purchase the book?
I think Ma'am Julie
Or
can answer.
download it? Okay.
These are this is a question for the marketing.
Okay. Okay. So
Marketing
Ma'am
people of
Julie
Tech
is in
Hackers.
charge for the. Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am. I really like your presentation.
Thank you.
Talking about human computer interaction, ICT in millennials. You've mentioned about TikTok earlier. It's very relatable nowadays. Selfie, IT in commerce, and so many things. No. So for your questions, you may again post your questions in our chat box or Q&A box. Especially about ICT in education. Yeah, it is a powerful learning modality and very relatable to millennials. Doc, is it okay to use personally? Is it okay to use gaming apps inside the class? Because I am a language teacher and sometimes I find it hard to introduce my lessons. But I heard it from other speakers that they are using gaming apps. For you, Doc, is it for your point of view, is it okay to use gaming apps in class to just simply make class interactive, or it's a no?
For me, it's important to make learning engaging, right? So long as you have you identify what your objectives are, and the gaming app and the use of gaming app can address the uh, expected objectives, then I think for me, gaming apps can be used, and it's also good because we can make the learning engaging for the students. Parang may stigma yata na pag gaming, hindi okay
Yes,
kasi. pero kung tutusin, hindi eh. Kasi
helpful siya.
kung ma-reach mo yung objective mo, and also making it engaging to the students,
Yeah.
I think that's a win-win.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc. Somebody is asking about the difference between light from the professional course intro to computing that is included in the BSCS, BSIS, BSIT, and BSE MC curriculum. And thank you for an informative topic. That's from Ma'am Jeneline Villafuerte.
I'm not really that familiar po with the content of intro to computing in these in this degrees, no? Pero based from the where is it offered? So it's BSCS, BSIS, BSIT. So this is for students that will be pursuing a degree on technology-related courses, right? The assumption for the Living in the IT Era book is that it is for any student that will be that is pursuing a certain degree, but not really a degree in ICT. So the assumption here is that so long as they have um, access to a computer and to the internet, they can um, they can learn. They have a lot to learn from this course. So siguro Ma'am Jeneline, the difference is the focus. Kasi yung intro to computing, parang ano siya, no, warm up para sa mga magpupursue eventually ng degree in IT related courses. Whereas the focus here is more of for students that are not really ICT, that are not really pursuing a certain degree in ICT. So mas focus tayo on the application. Ano siya, higher level lang siya. The impact
Thank you,
of
Doc.
ICT in the society.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you, Doc. You've mentioned earlier, Doc, in the last chapters of your book about AI. I heard it something about AI. My question is, how massive AI nowadays, and how will it affect us as future educators? Because in the Philippines, parang hindi pa masyadong ano, but in South Korea, in our neighboring countries, AI is massive daw.
Opo. Yes, AI is a key technology. Actually, maraming social and ethical issues sa AI na kailangan natin pag-usapan. For example, yung idea na parang yung mga there are jobs na parang pwede na raw palitan ng AI, mga ganun, 'di ba? So we will need a certain subject na pwede nating pag-usapan yung mga bagay na yan. Ang impact niya sa teaching po, siguro kasi hindi pa rin naman hindi natin
Parang
masasabi
wala
na
pa.
parang ang AI can replace teachers.
Yeah.
Actually, part yan ng chapter 20, yung some grand challenges in computing. Kasi although there are already recommender systems that can be used to identify ano yung flow ng lessons that will be suitable for the learning style of a certain student, masyadong maraming constraints that is involved para sabihin na parang mapapalitan na ng mga computers yung mga teachers natin. So more of ang impact niya, it can be used as a tool. That is, yun nga, meron ng mga recommender systems that actually recommend a certain workflow para mas maging suitable sa learning style ng isang learning preference ng isang student ang isang set of lessons. We can use AI as a tool for developing a workflow for the lessons.
All right. Thank you for your insights, Doc. Another question from Peter John Villaflores. Questions about cyberbullying. Is it okay to use social media platform in our class for the submission of their class requirements? Knowing that social media is very public and can be a route for evil acts sometimes. Thank you from Isabela State University.
Ang sa atin, ako po, yung personal opinion ko kasi dyan, it's already used. Di ba? It's already there. Kung hindi man, it's already there. So it's more of help them understand the impact of these social networks. So sa akin, yes, let them use it and also talk to them about the impact of using this social media platforms. Actually, marami po ako na-search online sa YouTube. Nag-search ako ng Living in the IT Era. Tapos meron ng mga videos na ginagawa yung mga students for their Living in the IT Era courses that parang pinapagawa ng teacher, mag-vlog sila about certain topics. So it can be done. And at least nagagamit nila itong mga platforms na to for something academic so that mapag-usapan pa nila further yung impact.
Thank you, Doc. And there's no other venue kasi through social media apps. Some more questions? Okay. If there's none, thank you so much, Doc Rachel, and allow me to read the certificate of appreciation. Beside Soxargen Region 12 Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Dr. Rachel Ann Huayong for sharing her thoughts, ideas, and experiences to the participants of the webinar on Living in the IT Era Light, teaching a college general education course on information technology light syllabus content topic given this 8th day of August, April 2021 via Zoom, signed by Mr. Donald B. Salmina, President PSI 12. Doc Rachel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before tayo mag-proceed to our last speaker, meron po tayong paraffle. So may I request, Ma'am Julie?
Sige ma'am, share ka lang yung screen ko ng Roleta. And can you see the magic wheel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, for this raffle draw, 2 lucky attendees will be winning 500 pesos e-voucher each. Okay, wala pong audio yung roleta natin. So, let's find out kung sino ang dalawang attendee na mananalo ng 500 pesos e-voucher from Tech Factors. For our first winner, congratulations, Mary Jean Sarmiento. Nanalo po kayo ng 500 pesos e-voucher. Kung nandito po kayo, paki-acknowledge po sa ating chat box. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see kung meron sa YouTube natin. Wala rin po. Okay, dahil wala si Mary Jean Sarmiento, bubunot po tayo ng panibagong mananalo ng 500 pesos e-voucher. Nandito po ba si Art Ontrada? Nandito po kayo, paki-acknowledge sa ating chat box, or kung nanonood po kayo sa ating YouTube live, ayan, paki-comment. Yan, nandito si Sir Jay. Congratulations, Sir Jay. Please expect an email from Tech Factors on how to claim your prize. Yan, and our second winner for the 500 pesos e-voucher would be Engineer Ricardo B. from Agustin. Nandito po ba kayo sa ating webinar? Engineer Ricardo B. San Agustin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wala po si Sir. Ayan, nandito si Sir Ricardo San Agustin. Congratulations po sa ating dalawang lucky winner ng 500 pesos e-voucher from Tech Factors. Stay tuned dahil may raffle pa po tayo mamaya.
Congratulations to all our winners for our first part ng paraffle. And thank you also, Ma'am Julie. Now, let's proceed to our talk number 3, the Tech Factors Lite courseware. And allow me to introduce our final speaker. Our speaker earned his bachelor's degree in information technology with specialization in digital arts from FEU Institute of Technology, graduated magna cum laude as the graphic artist of Tech Factors Incorporated. He was responsible for the design and layout of Living in the IT era. Furthermore, he conceptualized and managed the development of the courseware and its accompanying interactives. Our speaker for today is no other than Michael Angelo C. the Kiwag. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon po. Is my screen visible na po?
Yes, sir.
Okay po. So, good day everyone. We are Tech Factors Incorporated, an e-learning company founded in 2004 that provides academic content to private schools all over the Philippines. Our advocacy is to develop the technology competencies of students by using technology in education. We also have a sister company, Head Start Business Solutions, that provides business processes solutions to schools such as school management systems, ID systems, and the like. Tech Factors has partnered with numerous schools nationwide, some of which are listed here, thus serving millions of students and teachers, making us a leading e-learning provider in the Philippines. Tech Factors has a wide range of product offerings for K-12 education, and today we will showcase our tertiary product, Living in the IT Era. Many of our daily activities rely on information and communications technology, or ICT. ICT is everywhere: communication, business transactions, banking, transportation, and even shopping. With the onslaught of the pandemic, we realized that basic knowledge of ICT is of great importance. As educators, we would like to equip our students with a strong foundation in ICT so they can take full advantage of it in their chosen profession. Thus, it is essential that we understand ICT and that we develop and strengthen our ICT competencies. With that said, Tech Factors endeavored to produce quality educational materials to address this need. Living in the IT Era courseware, written by knowledgeable and well-experienced ICT professionals, is designed for tertiary students in the digital age to uncover the concepts behind ICT, from its basics, how it affects us every day, how we can use it to our convenience, and what to look forward to in the near future. Since ICT covers many topics for discussion, TFI made sure that the flow of information in this courseware makes sense to the learners. Light utilizes visual tools to aid students in understanding the topics presented. It provides them a firm grip on the concepts that they read and make learning engaging. We've also included a number of side notes containing key concepts, real-life situations, trivia, and thoughts to ponder to help educators with their discussion and students with their learning. At the end of each chapter, students are provided with individual and group activities to evaluate their understanding of the lesson. It also encourages students to collaborate with other learners. Another key feature of Light are the interactives for each lesson, which is accessible through TechTeach. We have designed drag and drop type interactives that can help students apply what they have studied. For this example, students are asked to assign computers to different users. Another example gives emphasis on software. This interactive game is a culmination of the lesson in algorithm. Some interactives would ask students to classify concepts. And this one is chronological arrangement. We have created this typing game where students need to identify the meaning of acronyms and at the same time put their typing skills to the test. We have included gamified true or false type interactives where students are given tokens for correct answers. Otherwise, tokens are deducted. We also have a modified true or false interactive where students must answer in a given amount of time. Also a gamified multiple choice interactive where students will be asked to choose the best answer in a given amount of time. We also have a matching type interactive. We even have an essay type interactive. The concept for this one is similar to a tweet where a character limit is set. And finally, we have developed this network floor plan creator to test students' knowledge on basic networks. Students will be able to create a network floor plan following the specifications given. They are then provided with the necessary pieces of internet and they can draw network connections. that's it for our interactives. And so to sum up, to address the need for learning materials that will provide substantial knowledge on ICT, TFI came up with a courseware with logically organized topics written by well-experienced ICT professionals. Since tertiary students nowadays are experiential and visual learners, we made sure to have substantial visual tools to make learning relevant and engaging for them. And to give students an opportunity to apply their learnings and share with other learners through collaboration, we saw to it that individual and group activities are provided at the end of each lesson. Now, if you decide to avail of our Living in the IT Era courseware, here is what you get. Students will be able to utilize a printed copy of the book and LMS access through TechTeach, where the interactives are accessible. Teachers would enjoy trainings that will be provided by the TFI Academy. The school, on the other hand, will be provided with necessary consultations and support. Once again, we are Tech Factors, committed in making learning a great experience. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sir Michael Dakiwag. That was short but comprehensive discussion about Tech Factors Light courseware. Yan. And sir, your interactive games are awesome. So what's next? My question personally for Sir Michael and your team is, what's next for Light Interactives, sir? What's your next goal?
Actually, our main challenge now is, since these interactives were developed for PC use, so the main challenge now is to have this available for mobile-based apps. So that would be our next challenge for the TFI.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Michael. Let's check our chat box if there are questions. Meron po bang gustong magtanong? I guess na-enjoy at naintindihan nila yon, Sir Michael.
If there are any questions po, I think Miss Julie can send
Okay.
the email of TFI so they can communicate.
Okay.
Yun po. Thank
Okay.
you.
Somebody is asking about, the question is from Denver Palmiano. Is the interactive accessible online or need to be installed?
Currently po, the interactives are accessible through the TechTeach, which is online. But I think if there will be a need for offline, I think that TFI can address, can have a build for the situation of the school. But basically, it is online.
Okay. Thank you for that, Sir Michael. Now, if there's no more question, I guess Ma'am Julie can assist you. If there are questions, you can just post it in our comment box. So allow me, Sir Michael, to read the certificate of appreciation. Certificate of appreciation is awarded to Mr. Michael the Kiwag for his thoughts, ideas, for sharing his thoughts, ideas, and experiences to the participants of the webinar on living in the IT era light, teaching a college general education course on information technology, the Tech Factors Light courseware topic, given this 8th day of April 2021 via Zoom, signed by Mr. Donald B. Salminao, President, Eastside 12. Thank you once again, Mr. Michael. Now let's move on to round 2 of our raffle draw. May I request Ma'am Julie once again?
Okay, kita niyo na po ang ating magic wheel of names. Okay, kung visible na po ang ating magic wheel of names, magsisimula na tayo sa ating second round of raffle. A while ago, 2 lucky attendees won 500 pesos e-voucher each. Now, let us double the fun and excitement by doubling the prize as well. In this raffle draw, 2 lucky attendees will win 1,000 pesos e-voucher each from Tech Factors. So, sino kaya ang dalawang lucky attendee na mananalo ng 1,000 pesos each? For our first winner, congratulations, Lohaira Lidasan. Nanalo po kayo ng 1,000 pesos e-voucher. Kung nandito kayo, paki-acknowledge sa ating chat box or doon sa comment section ng YouTube live natin. Bubuna tayo ng panibagong winner in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, wala po si Johaira Lidasan. Pesos e-voucher. I see. Rika May, Delphine Ringo. Ma'am Rika May, nandito po ba kayo? Ayan, paki-acknowledge sa ating chat box. Ma'am Rika May, maybe our panelists or dear panelists po can check the list of attendees as well or the participants in this platform. Ayan, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wala pa rin si Ma'am Rika May. Talong-talong, paki-acknowledge po kung nandito tayo sa ating Zoom webinar or kung nandoon sa ating YouTube live. Okay. Bubuna tayo ng panibagong winner in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Masayang-masaya yung iba kasi maraming wala. Maraming hindi nag-acknowledge. Congratulations, Mr. Warren Vignayo. Sa ating Zoom webinar. Ayan, congratulations, nandito si Sir Warren. Please expect an email from Tech Factors on how to claim your 1,000 pesos e-voucher prize for this raffle. Okay. And our last winner for 1,000 pesos e-voucher for this round. Congratulations, and Glory Manuel. First, kindly acknowledge po sa chat box. Okay. I'm checking as well our YouTube live comments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wala si ma'am. Nandito po ba si Calvo? If you're here, Paki-message po sa ating chat box para malaman namin na nandito kayo. If not, bubunot kami ng panibagong winner. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wala rin po siya. Ayan, nandito po si Ma'am Kenny Calvo. Congratulations. Please expect an email from Tech Factors on how to claim your raffle prize. Now, before we move on to our final raffle, I would like to share my thoughts about the Light courseware. You know what's great about this Light courseware is that it responds not only to the learning needs of our students, of your students, but also to the learning styles and language of today's generation. Now, sagarin na natin ang fun and excitement by doubling the prize na naman. So kanina nagkaroon tayo ng 500 pesos na pa-raffle, then naging 1,000 pesos. Now, one lucky attendee will be winning 2,000 pesos e-voucher from Tech Factors. Okay? If you're excited na, tingnan natin kung sino ang mananalo. Sir Nico na kaya? Okay. Our winner of 2,000 pesos e-voucher is Kaharoden M. Botokan. Kung nandito po kayo, paki-acknowledge po sa ating chat box. Okay, nandito po ba? Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bubo na tayo ng panibagong winner. Lastly, William Leva, nandito po ba kayo? Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At dahil wala pa po, ang ating last na nabunot, bibitinin muna namin kayo sa raffle. So, ibibigay ko muna ulit ang floor sa ating P-Site organizers to have their closing remarks.
Once again, congratulations to all our winners. Just claim your voucher po or check your email kung paano i-claim ang prize. Thank you once again to our attendees and of course to our host for today's webinar. Although later may isa pang raffle. Tama? Okay. It's a fun day but unfortunately we come to the very end of our session. So to close our today's webinar, may I request Ma'am Ethel Oxon from Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Colleges, General Santos City, our P-Site VP. Our P-Site 12. Our VP for P-Site 12. Ma'am Ethel? Please do the honor of giving your closing remarks.
Okay, so hello po, good afternoon. So since wala po yung VP ng P-Site 12, so I will take the opportunity na lang po to thank all the participants for this webinar, and of course to our partners, Tech Factors, and to Doc Jaime, Caro, thank you for your time, and the team, no, and the rest of the participants sa for your time here in participating our webinar. Hopefully, mayroon tayo nakuhang mga ideas and insights from the different topics that were presented. No? So on behalf of PSET Region 12, so thank you to all of you. So let's give back to Ma'am Julie for the last raffle item. Hey ma'am, it's your turn.
Okay, sige po, sandali lang sir. Sagutin ko lang yung isang question sa ating question and answer tab. So if you would want to request for evaluation copy of the Living in the IT Era book, or kung gusto nyo mag-set ng discussion po with us, kindly email us at marketing@techfactors.com. Nasa chat box na po siya, or itatype ko na lang ulit. And we will have one of our curriculum consultants to get in touch with you po. Okay, now let's proceed to our final raffle for today. Let me just share my screen again. Okay. Nandito na kaya yung mananalo ng 2,000 pesos na e-voucher from Tech Factors? Let's find out. Congratulations, Porcel Abinigo. Nandito po ba kayo sa ating webinar? Okay, let me just check the participants. Okay, upon checking the attendees, wala po ang kanyang name. Wala rin pong message sa ating YouTube. So, buno tayo ng panibagong winner. I correct me if I'm wrong na lang po sa pronunciation. Hanani Morgan, andito po ba? Okay, wala po siya sa list of attendees natin today. Mariela Leyva, are you here? Wala rin si Mariela Leyva. Yung mga nagkiklaim dyan, sino to? Sila? Ma'am Suniga, kayo na kaya? Congratulations, Robert Ocampo Jr. Okay, wala rin si Robert Ocampo Jr. Okay, may mga umaasa rin sa ating YouTube live. Tingnan natin. Ano naman daw, hindi ko. Tingnan natin. Ano naman. Alexander Barrios. Alexander Barrios, kung nandito kayo or nandiyan kayo sa ating YouTube, paki-acknowledge. May nagvo-volunteer na sa YouTube. May magic wheel po. Okay, wala si Alexander Barrios. Maria Lourdes Manahas. Nandito kayo, ma'am? Nandito si Ma'am Maria Lourdes Mangahas. Paki-acknowledge po, Ma'am Maria Lourdes Mangahas. Ayan, congratulations po. Ma'am Maria Lourdes Mangahas, nanalo po kayo ng 2,000 pesos e-voucher from Tech Factors. Okay, with that, ibabalik ko na po ang ating webinar floor sa P-Site organizers.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Julie, once again. And congratulations to all our winners for today. And that's the end of our session today, of our webinar. Besides Stock Surgeon webinar on living in the IT era, light, teaching a college general education course on information technology. Hoping that you've learned something. And we would like also to say thank you to our host for today. And for those who are asking, don't you worry, ma'am, sir, because we will send your e-certificate after the session. Just fill out the registration form. So I don't know if we can open our cam for our photo op. If wala, then it's okay. Once again, thank you so much. Keep safe, stay healthy, everyone. And we still have another webinar, another session. Just log in or visit our P-Site 12 FB page, Facebook page, and yun po, nandun po ang information and updates for our next webinar. This is your host for today. I am Lisa May Marshales saying, have a good day. God bless you all and stay safe. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, thank you. Wala na. Thank you po. Sa mga remaining, invite ko po kayo sa programming contest namin sa PSI 12. Ma'am Julie, thank you. Doc Jaime, thank you po.
Thank you din po.
Speakers natin, thank you, thank you.